Hey everybody, and welcome back to the internet. It's time to answer the question from Hot Topic employees of Reddit: what are your horror stories? Honestly, I almost forgot to make this video today, but we're gonna get this done. So my high school girlfriend worked there back in the day. She said the worst part of the day was having to collect merchandise from the fitting rooms and cleaning the fitting rooms. Apparently, all sorts of nasty women would go in there and try on the panties, not use a liner, and just generally leave them all crusty and bad smelling. They would also leave pads and tampons all over. She said that they had to throw away so much merchandise that was left in that condition. I feel like this may be a problem anywhere they sell clothes, but then again, Hot Topic may attract a different type of customer, so it might have happened more often. I mean, I've never worked in a clothes store, so I couldn't tell you. A petite friend is currently a manager at one, and her issue is always a customer that become too often repeat customer, obsessed with her, or another female employee. Currently, it's a guy that swears they would have everything in common because he likes all the things in the store too, as if she curated it, and now has to stay 500 feet from the store. It is a very specific type of person that goes to Hot Topic. I heard stories like this from my local one several times. They ended up promoting the giant crab kicker goth chick with purple hair to manager, and she would straight up threaten creepy dudes. Had zero problems calling security or police if someone was harassing an employee. I went to the community college with a girl who worked there, and she said about 2 weeks after that manager got hired, nobody has been harassed since. How to find the perfect Hot Topic manager. Pick the scariest, most intimidating person you can find. Well, that might explain why those are usually the type of people I see working at Hot Topics. I worked for 2 years at my local Hot Topic, and the worst stories both involved the fitting rooms. Our fitting room used to be a self-service room in the back of the store with a red curtain in front of it. An employee noticed 4 feet in the rooms that opened to find 2 people doing it and had to clean up the remnants. A second incident came when a smell wafted from the same room. It was later discovered that someone had actually taken a dump in the room when they went to try on clothes. We ended up fitting the room with a galvanized piece of chain and a master lock to keep the curtain open. Luckily, shortly thereafter, we got a full store overhaul that put in actual fitting rooms. Man, people cannot be trusted to have some privacy in these places. Man, we had to guard the dressing rooms like a fortress. I had to prevent a teenage girl, and who I thought was her boyfriend, from going in there. I also told her she couldn't take the armful of thongs they'd picked out in the dressing rooms. She goes, "Daddy, will you hold my panties?" and hands them over. And then tells me, "He's my stepdad, but I call him Daddy." So then her 40-something methed out mom wanders over to confirm that yes, the teenage juggalo is her husband, that he is a few years older than her daughter, that they go to the same high school, and that she finds their whole dynamic adorable. Every time the girl called him Daddy, her mom would cackle and tell me she just loves her daddy. They have classes together at school, and she loves telling everyone that she goes to school with her daddy. They do everything together. She loves doing stuff with her daddy. Man, that almost made me go back to church. If the story sounds familiar, I posted it on an alt several years back and it got picked up by a clickbait site, so cast aside those pitchforks. Also, no, it wasn't Alabama. My current boss was a former store manager at Hot Topic, and he told me that he caught one of his employees stealing a shirt that he had stuffed into a Sonic cup. From then on out, everyone had to check bags and beverages for merchandise. And people are finding pretty clever ways of stealing things. I worked at a Hot Topic about 8 years ago. For the most part, the gig was the best part-time job I ever had. Great managers, great coworkers, great customers. Only 2 instances stand out in my mind. One, this was around when Twilight was big. Middle-aged woman would come in and ask where Edward and Jacob merch was, and then just start fawning over them in the most uncomfortable way. And 2, my actual interview. It was a group interview. One of the questions was something about either a difficult customer service moment or something. This one guy, an obvious Hot Topic scene type, proudly talks about the time he worked at a bookstore and sucker punched a female customer in the face for calling his style weird or freaky or something. I never saw that guy again, so I don't think he got the job. Were they just trying to look hardcore to get this job? I was working on the sales floor, and this guy, at least in his 30s and pretty high, starts making sexual comments to me about this 15-ish girl that was checking out. I asked him to leave, and nothing more came of it, but it was chilling. Also had a coworker get fired because they were selling weed out of the back room. She'd sneak it into their bag while they were checking out. Also had a different off-duty coworker come in, hammered, late one night to tell everyone working how great we were. That was actually kinda nice. Besides that, it was a lot of kicking out vaping teenagers and letting the quiet girls from my school try on skimpy Harley Quinn bikinis in the dressing room. Hey, it's an edgy teenage paradise. So not a horror story, but a ridiculous short one. I had a woman come in with her sleeping infant and screamed at me to turn off the music while she strolled around the store. I mean, if your baby is sleeping and you want them to continue, maybe don't come in to browse the store that you can hear music blasting from the other side of the mall. I don't know what to tell you. Well, we've definitely learned about people like that in a lot of these other stories, that when you're a Karen, everyone else is just there to help you. So I worked there for 13 years. So much weird, but that's just retail in general. Caught a guy. I'm just gonna let you guys read that line on your own. People do it in the dressing room way more often than you'd be comfortable with. I worked for them when Columbine happened. We carried a brand of clothing back then called Serial Killer, which featured pop culture, pics and references, and some edgy saying, like a pic of Bruce Lee that says revenge or something like that. The morning after Columbine happened, we got an email to pull all of the Serial Killer clothing line off the sales floor, as well as every trench coat in the store. By the end of the day, I'd already had to call security twice due to people showing up at the store and harassing me for supporting those psychos and training the next ones. Then the TV networks showed up and pretty much camped the front of our store, harassing every customer as they walked in and out, asking them why this dark lifestyle attracted them. The mall ended up having security just hang out in front of the store and walked our employees to their car for about a week afterward. Honestly, it was the best job I ever had. The company was really supportive at the corporate level. I still have friends that work there. They pretty much left me alone so long as I made sales. So I had a carte blanche to set up my stores the way I wanted, even if it didn't look like the planned merchandising setups they sent out. I had direct access with every department, so if I felt my stores couldn't sell something they sent us, they'd let me transfer it somewhere else, and vice versa. Get more best sellers in. Honestly, if it wasn't for the working every weekend and closing a lot of stuff, I would have continued working there. Columbine, back in the 90s, when everyone just blamed all violence on kids listening to metal and playing video games. So I'm a former employee. I worked a whole 3 months in the summer, so all the kids were out and about. I was stocking Disney merchandise, and I couldn't help but notice a kid underneath one of our clearance racks. I heard some strange noises coming from there too, so I crouched under and looked at the kid. He had a button, needle and all, in his mouth. I asked him where his parents were, and before I knew it, he swallowed the pin and ran out of the store. I couldn't leave and go search for the child, so I let security know about the button kid. Never knew what happened after that. I can't seem to forget the button kid, though. Well, button kid, if you're out there, let us know what happened to you. I spent almost 5 years working at one in the early 2000s. Being in the Midwest, we had a ton of juggalos, but they were actually pretty nice people in general. I had a group of kids ask what I would do if they set some clothes on fire and flicked a lighter multiple times. We mostly got weirdos who wanted to bang in the dressing room or lifted up their shirts to ask me what gauge their nipple ring is. We had this one girl who came in weekly, and I don't think she was all there. She would sit at the listening stations for way too long and then leave. One day she sat down and put the headphones on. She had a plastic bag with her, filled with the empty glass bottles and peaches. Yes, the fruit. We noticed it was leaking onto the floor, but we just let her do her thing. She put the headphones back and looked at her leaking bag. She had a mildly disappointed look on her face, but immediately looked at her watch and yelled, "I'm going to miss my bus!" She ran out of the store and up to a trash can outside the store. She held the bag up high and yelled, "Peaches, meet your fate!" Threw the bag in the trash and then sprinted off. That job was weird. I don't even know what to say about that one. So I worked for Hot Topic for about 7 years. My store was apparently the juggalo store of the district, and I think the state. Working for that company as long as I did, I was pretty used to ignoring people's crappy taste, but the juggalos were different. This is in central Florida, so it's on average about 90 degrees most days, and always humid as heck. These kids were always very overweight, wearing a massive black ICP tee, those ridiculous 30-pound black trip pants with the huge pockets and all the hardware, chains and straps hanging from them. They were drenched in sweat. Their hygiene was almost always awful. They always seemed to show up whenever a new ICP shirt or collectible would arrive, and would smell up the store and pay in wadded up, sweat-soaked money. It was just all around unpleasant. The smell would linger for a bit after they left. It was not pleasant. And Hot Topics are just a different flavor of, like, gaming shops, I think. So this is my time to shine. I was helping a lady at the Disney section. She was pretty particular about things she wanted, and was asking if they looked okay enough for her. Being my first job, I was really enthusiastic about being a salesperson, and I really do love Disney. So I was hyping her up the best I could, and we're laughing together, getting along really well. Then she says, "Yeah, I wanted to get all the same things my boyfriend's baby mama has. Is that weird?" Literally did not know how to respond. I said it wasn't, and cashed her out quick. Hey, whatever can get you the sale. And that's all the responses I've gotten for today. I mean, I know I make fun of Hot Topic people all the time, but I mean, I used to go there quite a bit too. It was the only place I could ever find World of Warcraft shirts back before the internet really was a big thing. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed these weirdo stories, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.